I'd like to call the meeting to order, Jackson County Commission work session and meeting agenda for the regular session today. It'll be a work session and a regular scheduled meeting, January 22nd, 2018. We'll start by call the roll to establish quorum. Mr. Manning?
District 1, Mr. Duffy.
Present.
District 2, Mr. Bevel.
Present.
District 3, Ms. Gilbert.
Present.
District 4, Mr. Sis. Chairman also present.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. This time, we'd ask Jeff Arnold to do the invocation, please.
Dear Lord, we thank you for another day. Lord, we thank you for all your blessings on us, Lord. We thank you for this wonderful county that you've given us to live in. Lord, I thank you for these great leaders that we have, and Lord, I just pray that you just give them patience and understanding, Lord, as we go through these proceedings today, Lord. We just pray for those who are less fortunate than us today, Lord. Just pray that you watch over them and guide them. Lord, we ask these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. You would join me with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing we have will be approval of the agenda for the work session. We'll only do it for the work session in case anything in the work session were to change the agenda of the regular meeting that we will happen after this.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to proceed with the agenda as stated. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Next, we have no awards or presentations, and we have no public comment from citizens. First thing is a work session discussion on items from the agenda. First thing that we have is a town of Pisgah garbage service. Darrell, if you would.
Yes, sir. In December the 11th, we had a meeting in Pisgah and went up and met with Mr. Meeks. It's on the first sheet in your notebook there. Mr. Levin, Kathy and Kathy O'Shields, and discussed the garbage service up there. We tried to come up with different ways that we could, scenarios where we can make it work, to get them back. But after quite a bit of talks, we decided that right now, that if we could agree to it, that a 2-year contract would be the best thing for them to do. We as the county would we would buy cans for them and let them, they could pay us back within this year here for the cans. And furnish all we would really be doing is just contracting the labor. They're gonna go ahead and be the building to their water department, and they'll be responsible for sending us the payment at the end of each month. With the contract part of it, this at the bottom is what we kind of come to agreements on, and I sent this over to Mr. Porter. Mr. Porter is working on this right here, and we're going to go ahead and put together a contract, and we'll get back with Mr. Lehman and Mr. Porter, and maybe Mr. Kinnemer, I don't know, he might be involved a little bit, and get the contract set up, but the contract will be based on these bottom 9 items down here. Yes. And the only changes that we've come up with so far is number 8, that for collections, we first discussed doing $1 for each collection, but we're gonna change that to $1.50 per collection.
Okay, on this, we're basically just picking up the garbage, and they're gonna be owning the cans and paying us a fee to do this.
Yes, sir.
And this will be on a 2-year contract. Do we need to, instead of advancing this on to the commission meeting, do we need to table this until the attorneys have more thought in it, or do we need to go ahead and move forward with it?
I talked with Mr. Porter and we discussed it a little bit. I would like to leave that up to the commission and.
Okay.
The same employees and equipment we got.
Yes, sir. Yes, we'll incorporate it into what we've already got. It won't take no extra trucks, it won't take no extra manpower.
I noticed that we won't be responsible for street repairs and will not service private drives, but what about any liability on private property or at the edge if something, say, were to happen? Or, I mean, how do you normally handle it?
We won't be responsible. It'd be the same as Woodville and the other little townships. We're not responsible. We'll do the best we can do and do them the best job we can do, but we're not responsible for anything of that nature.
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the upcoming commission meeting. The next thing we have is to discuss the purchase of garbage cans. And again, Darrell,
Yes, I jumped back on y'all, I'm sorry there. The second paper in here thing here is a quote on the cans that we priced to them. And in our meeting, we discussed it at $21,000. They were agreeable at $21,000 for those cans. But after we got the quote back, the freight on them went up another $900. We can still make this quote right here work out for them at $21,000, but rather than 456 cans, we may have to reduce it by about 45 cans to get that number back down to 21,000.
and there's
Yes.
there's 456 cans or
Yes.
452 cans will be enough to take care of everything you
Yes, sir,
see.
they've got 273 customers, and reason we're buying extra is in 2 years, if they was to decide to take the service back over, they would have cans for repair, replacement, and two, for us, if anything happens during this 2 years, we've got an extra amount of cans that we can go up and service and keep their cans working for them.
Any other discussion on this matter? If there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the upcoming commission meeting.
One tonight or one?
One tonight. Next, we have the discussion on items needed addressed at the county park.
The renter that we have down there for barbecue, restaurant is wanting to, if you see this map, wanting to build a dock that's out over the water, and has already received a permit from DEA and everything. This would be permanently affixed to our property. I think he's got two prices on it. Both came in under the $15,000 that we would be required to bid out to build something on our property. He's wanting to know if the county's willing to pay any portion of that, since it's gonna be affixed and attached to our property. And let me bring that to the commission, and see, if anybody, what the commission
What
thinks
again, I'm
about.
sorry?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's on what again?
He's wanting to know if we're willing to pay any part of it, or the entire part of it. So it's gonna be, I wouldn't have an issue with it if he had a longer extended contract, or if we had something in writing from him, and we were prorated out through the years. I mean, if he stayed 5 years, he'd, divide whatever we put into it by 5, and, if he'd gone in 3 years, he would owe us for 2 years or something. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting the dollars in it, unless we had something like that in writing.
How much money are we talking about in all?
I think the highest bid
Highest
he
was
had,
14.9, but he's talking to that guy, so it cost, the lowest one was,
12 something, almost
13.
13, almost 13,000.
but he's got 2 years left on his contract come April, so,
And we wouldn't recoup, depending on what we put in it, if we put the, $10,000 into it, we wouldn't recoup that in 2 years' time at what his contract.
It's
So-
not gonna benefit us, no, I'm like you,
Yeah, I mean, we would own it,
It would be an asset.
It would be an asset, so,
be an asset, but, I don't see where we gain a whole lot out of it,
So he's gonna go ahead and do it whether we put money or not. He's requesting the county put some money in it.
I
And
think-
go ahead, go on.
I think if he ever left, pertaining to Mr. Sis, I think if he was to ever leave, I think that would help maybe bring something else in.
yeah.
Another restaurant, because that thing's gonna be nice over the water and overlooking everything.
How big a deck we talking about, Carl?
I think it was the size of my.
I don't think it's
I
on
don't
this,
think so.
on
I
this,
don't know.
on this.
I've got that Mr. Sis, I can send it to everybody.
What, 20 by 40.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's big.
And it's got a,
It's got a walkway.
walkway that it will benefit us or the people that staying in their boathouses, to be able to access the restrooms without having to go back out into the parking lot and all the way around, the restaurant. They'd be able to cut across, to the back side of the restaurant, to the shower houses.
Okay, now I noticed some slip numbers on here, 'cause y'all went down with that.
Yeah, that's the next thing,
Uh,
about that, so.
And also, around that, Mr. Venable, he'll have places to tie boats up also, probably like 3 or 4 boats, and then that walkway around to the, for our boaters and the restaurant. You know, I think it'd be an asset to us if he was to ever leave, but like Mr. Venable, I don't think, 2 years probably in and out.
What if we split it with them, 2 years would be enough, we couldn't run it. For 12, that'd be 6, but $3,000 a year.
We got the rent down there pretty cheap.
It goes up next year, and then the year after that, it really goes up.
You remember what those numbers are?
250 next year, 600 the next year.
And when you're saying year, you're talking about our fiscal year from
No,
October?
ma'am, I'm talking from April 1st to March 31st.
And this is something he's wanting to get built before springtime, so we've still got a little bit of time. We don't have to put it on this following meeting. We can, put it on the next meeting.
And,
This is something that he wanted me to bring to the commission's attention and have a discussion about.
and two, again, when you got a 26A permit, if they changed it, you'd have a lifetime to use it. Well, you just got 18 months
Right.
to get started on it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not closed, but I'll just throw that out there to you.
Well, that being said, I wish we would table it and not put it on tonight's meeting to go through another work session, give us time to kind of put some numbers together.
Fine.
Next thing on the items for discussion is the Helms contract with Jackson County Park.
Yeah, last year we waited till springtime and we wound up, Mr. Helms moved because we brought in the barbecue establishment, and I just wanted to get started on his contract. This would be his last year for renewal under his current contract. And this is some numbers that I'd come up with and, talking with, Carl, the building rent, $250 a month, and then 12 consecutive months. And then we have, 6 boat slips down there. And let him rent 3 of the boat slips at $250 per month for all 3 boat slips, and then KC's Barbecue wanted the other 3 boat slips for his customers from the water. And again, this is not something that has to be voted on tonight, but I think we need to move on it soon, because I don't want to wait till springtime and then try to get all our ducks in a row. And then if Mr. Helms, I know he's talked a lot about not staying down there, so if he's not gonna stay and we're gonna have something else down there, we need to be working on getting something else into works before summertime.
I think that map, Mr. Venable, playing right out, put some areas on that he can park some more boats if he needs to, but those 3 slips is what he'll be paying for.
Yeah,
But
Carl's,
he could-
Carl's marked some spots on here that he could have these boats in the water, to bring over for rental. This past summer, he kept all of them tied up right here where we're talking about building that new deck, and it just, there wasn't any room for people to come in off the lake, tie up and come to the restaurant.
So we need to split that, basically.
Yeah.
Between them convenience.
So he was parking his rental boats that weren't being used in these places
In the
and
transit slips,
making them
yeah.
away, kind of.
Well, that was in with the agreement.
Yeah.
It's a charge.
You can, yeah.
I'm good with the way you got this, but is this just this year one and then it goes up from there?
Well, this will be his only year
Oh,
for
okay.
extension of contract.
I'm good with the way you got it. I think that's good.
Has he been approached with any of this?
No.
It'd be my suggestion to approach Mr. Ham before we vote on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
See if there's
yeah,
any
I'm gonna have to.
negotiation, just kind of table it until the next time.
But if it's
But
just
when
what
we
we
gotta
have to
agree
approach
on
him with,
what to
that's what.
approach him with, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right, right. I'm okay with the numbers myself.
Those numbers beneficial to us?
You know,
Those numbers still beneficial to us, we're not losing anything?
Yes, ma'am. And they still pay their utilities, they still pay their electric and gas, whatever, you know. They just don't pay the water, and, you know, they get free water and free garbage pickup, but they still pay their electric.
So you guys okay with tabling this until the next work session?
And who's gonna, you wanna approach him?
Go ahead and, if you wanna go ahead and contact Mr. Helms, with it, or do you want me to? I don't care to.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I'll get with you, we get with Mr. Helms and go over these numbers from him.
Okay. The next thing you'll have in your packet is discuss about Alabama Industrial Access Road and bridge application for funding of a IA grant. And you'll see this is a formality here. And talking with the engineer, this is a project that will need to be let out on Friday. So they're asking that we expedite this tonight. This is nothing new, this is in the works before I even came here. And so if there's no objection, I'd like to place this on the agenda for the upcoming commission meeting. Next thing on work session is the Walter Thomas Family Cemetery in the Tupelo area. These people have asked to start a family cemetery up there in the Tupelo area. And it appears that all the legwork has been done on this per regulations. You've got the health department who have signed off on it. You'll have a letter there from Nancy Webb. And then this thing has been surveyed. You'll see the S&H surveying. And site evaluation data has been done, and this has also been put into the necessary procedure that they have to follow through in probate. Donna from the probate office brought all this information up, and it seems to be all in order. So with that, I would, if there's no objection, oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question about that, please. So this will not be a public cemetery, or will be a public cemetery?
This is a Walter Thomas Family Cemetery, is how it was expressed to me, that it would be for our family. We have a letter here.
Letters, family owned by.
Yeah. They've been on property owned by Walter Thomas, County Road 21. And it'll be known as Walter Thomas Family Cemetery. And then S&H put the legal description on Mr. Thomas's property. There's no obligation, or no objection rather. We will place this on the agenda for the upcoming commission meeting. Next thing we have is a budget amendment for RPT. This is something Mr. Manning brought to my attention, and Mr. Manning, I'll let you explain this.
The letter in your folder pretty much summarizes everything, but what we're doing is, or what we're requesting is Lynn Thurman, our director at out at Rural Public Transportation, and let us know this year that there've been some changes at ALDOT in the way they classify a revenue line item. And speaking with her contact at ALDOT suggested that we handle this as a transfer in from the general fund. This is for the money that the city of Scottsboro sends to us annually for an employee that we use to run the city routes. And this has been going on each year since I've been here, but in the past, we had always recognized that in the Rural Public Transportation Fund, which is number 131, that always had been handled as a incoming revenue line item there. Due to the changes down there, if we continue to show that as a revenue line item in that fund, the ALDOT will back that out of our invoices. So we'll actually would lose that money. So by changing it, we'll put the revenue into the general fund as a reimbursement revenue line item, and then we'll turn right around and transfer it from the general fund to the 131 fund. So there'll be no change of it. I mean, there'll be an additional revenue for $40,000 in the general fund and an additional transfer out of $40,000 in the general fund. And then over in the Rural Public Transportation Fund, they will not have a revenue line item for that, but they will have a transfer in from the general fund for that same $40,000. So net effect really is nothing, it's just the way we record the revenue coming in. And if we do it this way, then ALDOT will continue to pay for our invoices as requested.
If there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the upcoming commission meeting. That's everything that we have on the work session of items that's to be discussed. I'll check with the staff and see if there's anything that needs to be discussed before we go into the commission meeting. Mr. Arnold, you have anything? Carl? Mr. Campbell?
No, thank you.
Darren? No, sir. With that being said, we will conclude the work session, and now we'll go into the regular commission meeting. Right now, we have no old business, and we'll follow on forward with the new business. First item is a motion to approve extending a temporary laborer's employment period with the Public Works Department. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we have a motion to approve the hiring review board's recommendation for the vacant nutrition manager position at COA.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we have a motion to submit the application for the Alabama Industrial Access Road and Bridge Corporation application for funding the IA grant.
Make a motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we have a motion to begin garbage service for the town of Pisgah.
I'll make that motion.
Can we go ahead and do that without a contract? Is everything clear with Porter on that?
We're with him today, and he's in the process of putting it together. And it's basically gonna stem with these 9,
Yeah, I got the log, but we can't move forward without it.
If we're gonna, yeah, if we're gonna enter into contract with them, we can just amend the motion to give the chairman permission to enter into contract
That's,
with
okay, just making sure that.
Town of Pisgah.
yeah.
Okay, we will amend the motion. The motion will be to give the chairman the authority to sign the contract to begin garbage service at the town of Pisgah.
I'll make that.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Next thing is a motion to purchase garbage cans. This is what was brought up in the work session, and you have this in your packet. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Next is a motion to approve the Walter Thomas Family Cemetery for the Tupelo area.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Next, we have a motion to approve the budget amendment regarding the RPP fund. This is the fund that Mr. Manning had just discussed.
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. This is everything on tonight's commission meeting. We will again see if there's any reports from the staff. Carl, you have any?
No, sir.
Mr. Arnold? Rocky? Ms. Campbell?
Just one comment about the recent snow and ice event that we had. We had employees, I know we all know we have good employees, but I think that last event just kind of served as a reminder for me because we had folks in the holidays and then the 2 days after, and some of those were, as long as 14-hour days they worked. But I just wanted to mention that those days they were all volunteers. So they all raised their hand. We didn't have to make anything mandatory. So those folks that were out there doing the job, they all volunteered to do it. And I thought they did a good job and they did it safely. So I was very proud of that.
And talking about that same item, I got a call from the town of Langston expressing their appreciation to our road department on how everything was done over there within the town of Langston and up the Langston Gap Road. And they just called to thank us for taking care of that over
I
there.
had a lot of public
I
comment.
think so, a lot of citizens called and said thank you, so,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome job.
Thank you, John.
The spray on thing you use and they get it down pat.
Thank
That's the way to
you.
go.
Make sure they know that.
Did you see the picture that he had sent before, one with treatment, without treatment, where needed? I forwarded it to you, he sent it to me, it's a major difference.
Darrell, do you have anything else?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay, we'll ask if there's anything from the commission. Ms. Gilbert?
Just basically thanking the Public Works for the great job well done.
Thank you.
And I believe our sheriff's department's been quite busy lately, so thank you guys for all the extra
They did
hours.
an outstanding job. And they've been busy with a lot of other serious things
And
lately
you
too.
guys for the weather.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't easy out there.
No.
I think I got a message from someone that I need to come help you, and I asked him, was he gonna ride on the back of the truck? And that changed his tune.
All we need is just for everybody to be patient with us and allow us to get through there. And as Jonathan said, be safe while we're
Yeah, that's what everybody messaged me, and I said, just, they'll get to you.
Mr. Sis, do you have anything?
Basically, it's nothing said, the public works, just above and beyond, because it's a lot of dedicated time out there. And, everything they're all done, not only to get the garbage, but working with the town of Pisgah. And I appreciate all that. All the deals you're working at the parks, and the sheriff's department, I don't have to tell Rocky, because he got his hands full, they do a great job.
Oh, I would like to add, I messaged Rocky the other night, they were, a situation that was close to me, but they were very respectful to the family, and lots of praise coming from that area, that they were very respectful, and they appreciated it.
Mr. Venable?
No.
Mr. Guffey?
No, sir.
That concludes everything on the agenda for today's work session and commission meeting. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. All opposed say no.
I was gonna take a picture of